Greetings, everybody. This is the Starving Martian, and today it had been my intention to go through the backup stories for issues 2, 3, and 4 of the Mars Attacks miniseries put out by Topps Comics back in 1994, but I keep getting hung up on issue 2 here. Destroying a Dog, the full story behind card number 36. There is just so much to talk about in this one little 6-page story. So we're just going to dwell on this one for today and catch up with 3 and 4 next week. Alright, so as we discussed last week when we looked at the reasoning behind the Martian invasion in the Topps comics in a story called We Come in Peace. There was a 5-issue limited Mars Attacks series from Topps Comics produced in 1994 as one of their earliest comic books. Not their earliest altogether. Their first comic book I think it was a miniseries, but the first comic that they produced was actually based off of Bram Stoker's Dracula, the movie of the same name. But they quickly branched out into some of their own properties, including Mars Attacks. They put out a 5-issue limited series, which had these pretty nifty flip covers to them. So if we pull back, we can see that this is the cover for the backup story that we're going to be looking at. You flip it over for the cover of the main comic. Alright? The backup stories all seem to take place in or around 1962, the same year that the original 55 card set was produced. And this is the only one out of the 5 that claims to be the full telling of a classic card from that card series. Now, a couple things off the bat before we even get to that. First, if this picture looks familiar to you, if you've been watching any of my videos, you may recognize it because it was actually a trading card as well. This is from the Mars Attacks archives from the 90s. And I will say this, I absolutely love this cover. This is a perfect update of a classic card. I have nothing against this cover at all whatsoever. It is a work of art, and as I was saying, it claims to tell, it says right here, the full story behind card number 36. Interestingly enough, this is not the first time a thing like this was attempted. In the 80s, 1988, we got Mars Attacks put out by Pocket Comics. And there were supposed to be 54 of these, one for each card in the original set. And they would tell an ongoing story, retelling the story from the original card set, but expanding upon it. This is the first issue of that. And you'll see it's numbered 1 of 54, but they didn't sell well at all. Only 4 of these were ever made. If you want to see a review on those, it was the very first review I ever did on this channel. So if you click on my name, Starving Martian, look for Mars Attacks the Comics, and it will be on that playlist. I will warn you, I was still new to the game, and I had a camera that's even cheaper than this one, but if you'd like to look at those, I think it's quite worthwhile. Another thing I'd like to point out is this interesting gun that the Martian is holding here, which, again, this is the gun that came with the Mezco Martian commander figure, and it's a perfect match for what he's holding. We've seen this before. I pointed it out. It was in Mars Attacks the Transformers. It was used as a shrink ray there. I just find it interesting because a lot of the toy reviewers I looked at, they knew what the ray guns were that guy came with, but this thing here they couldn't figure out. Everybody thought that he was supposed to hold it like this. And it just goes to show you they might know their toys, but they did not know their Mars Attacks. For that, you got to seek out a true fan. That's what I'm here for, guys. I'm here for you. So, if this claims to be the full story behind card number 36, let us begin by looking at card 36. This is card 36, Destroying a Dog. You'll see some of the aesthetics have changed. I have no real issue with that. My issue is with the story. Here's the back of card number 36. The Martians not only attacked the big cities, but also struck at the less populated sections of the country. Frightened citizens had to flee into the woods for safety or be burned with their homes. The invaders would leave their saucers and search small caves looking for signs of hiding families. In one cave, a Martian found a group of 6 people huddled together in fear. Before the invader could use his death weapon, a dog leapt up at the alien. The startled spaceman ran out of the cave, followed by the animal and its young owner. The invader then turned his deadly ray on the barking dog, destroying it as the young boy cried out in horror. Alright, so if this is the full story of this card, we should see more of this family hiding in these caves, avoiding the Martian attack. However, since this takes place as a prequel story in the 60s, the Martians haven't attacked yet, so the family's not hiding in caves. The idea of some of these prequel stories, I think, is to show some of the Martians, information gathering and pre-invasion sort of things. So let's take a look at the story. Alright, now this takes an interesting perspective in that it's completely done through the dog's point of view. And automatically you have an issue here because dogs don't see in color. Actually, they smell more than they see anything. So you just sort of have that right. The first word you see here is smell. Smell rabbit, track now. Yeah, dogs in this use a lot of broken English. And while I can't, claim to be an expert on dog thought, I rather doubt they're that transparent. Whatever they're thinking, it's probably more like food, 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 food. Hey, hi, hey, food. Anywho, so we see this dog following this family around. They're watching Zorro on the TV, which there's no year given in this, but that's one of the indications that it does take place in the 60s. That and the fact that the rest of these do. Apparently this story is actually titled Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog, which is kind of a stupid title, my personal opinion. He hears a noise from outside that hurts his ears. So there's what appears to be a Superman poster. So Superman exists as a comic book character in this universe, so he's not going to be saving anybody. Dog gets thirsty, drinks out of a toilet, as dogs do. Oh, the dog's name, by the way, is Pepper. I took issue to this. Believe it or not, I did take issue to this because the dog seen here, which is a brown and white dog, and we do see his tail here, so it is definitely at least brown. Pepper is not the name that you give a brown dog. I used to have a dog named Pepper, and he was black and white with gray, colors, pepper colors. My wife had a cat named Pepper, same colors. This is why you name an animal Pepper. I don't know. I have no idea why you would name a brown dog Pepper. That just might be me nitpicking, but anyway, he sees this UFO in the sky and identifies it as a bird. Okay, dog would not identify a UFO as a bird. As I've said, they identify things by scent. I've never smelled a UFO. Okay, I'll grant him that much. But I expect it smells like burnt ozone, that kind of like hot metal kind of thing, and I don't know, most birds do not smell of burnt ozone. So the dog follows these strange lights, sniffs around a bit, finds a car inhabited by 2 people named Ken and Barbie, marks the car because that's his territory. He's kind of tiffed that Ken and Barbie always make out on his spot. The UFO makes a bad noise and shoots a very bad laser. And the dog runs back to alert his master. Hey, there's bad birds with bad noises and yada yada. But before he gets there, he stops off at Lucky's home. Lucky is another dog. Lucky is quite the crispy critter, unfortunately. So our hero Pepper howls about this, runs to hide, goes home to his master, and master comes out and tries to make friends with the Martians. Hi, welcome to California, he says. He says, no, Grandma, I bet they're nice. Because, any skull-faced creature with a ray gun pointed at you is sure to be friendly. So, But the dog knows these guys are up to no good because they've already toasted his friend Lucky. So he jumps in the way just as the Martian fires. As you'll see, he's coming out of a little house. He's not coming out of a cave at all whatsoever. He gets hurt bad. The Martian's rather inquisitive. He stops to scoop up the dog's intestines because, as I said, this is a trip to see, what's going on Earth. So that makes sense. It's exploration. The dog's glad about this. Bad man, stay. Yes, he's hoping his masters will get a chance to escape. All goes to black and white, as it should, because dogs are colorblind. And yes, I know it's technically not how color blindness works, but close enough. And as a dog dies, he sees two big meat bones, one for him and one for Lucky. And so all dogs go to heaven, and everybody's happy. As I said, it just does not fulfill the promise of the full story behind card 36. I'm trying not to be overly critical. I'm not trying not to be a downer here. I do love my Mars attacks, but I have to be an honest reviewer. If I don't like something, I'm going to say it. And the fact is, this was written by Len Brown, the same man who wrote this card. Now you could say, maybe this is the true story, the full story of destroying a dog in this new universe, but that doesn't even really work either. We will see in a later backup story that some of these Martian incursions into Earth will actually result in the creation of the Mars Attacks trading cards. And there we see one of the cards that's created, burning flesh, of course, and destroying a dog, card 36, right behind it. Excuse me. With the text printed on there, reading the same as the card that I've been showing you. So this not only doesn't work in the context of the original card series, it also doesn't work in the context of the comic book series they're including it in. It's just a big mess all over the place. The point of view of the dog could have been interesting, but comes off as rather cheap and overly sentimental. I don't know. Personally, I'm just not a fan. But the stories do get a little bit better with 3 and 4, which is why I was hoping to squeeze them all in, but as you could tell, we're already running 13 minutes. So before I sign off, let's just take a moment to remember some of the other dogs who have been destroyed at the hands of Martians. Like this poor, unnamed fella, slaughtered in the streets. We will remember you. The President's dog, roasted by the Martians. There's his skeleton. You died doing your job. From Mars Attacks Occupation. This poor fella scooped up by Martian robots. Never seen again. And let us not forget the poor Chihuahua. Head swapped with Sarah Jessica Parker's. Truly a fate worse than death. Man's best friend, we salute you. Well, this is about it for now. We will catch up with you guys next time around. Until then, keep watching the skies.